What's up, everybody? If y'all don't know, I'm Big Temp and this is the Cave Cast. I want to welcome everybody. If you are just now, your first time checking us out, we are live on TikTok and YouTube, simulcast. And we've been doing this for a while, and I usually have a co-host. And he's been having some trouble getting back in town because, you know, he does work. And a lot of times he has to travel, and it's a lot of miles to get back and forth sometimes. And on Wednesdays, it's starting to try to make it a little bit more complicated. So I just want to say that we are going to continue no matter what, get this show on the road. And I don't know if anybody else was looking at some of these games that happened this weekend. Woo-hoo-wee. You know, I'm a little bit surprised at some of the games, not all of the games, but some of the games. And one of the guys that I'm a little surprised with is a rookie doing much damage in this league right now. Maybe rookie of the year? I don't know, but possibly so. Been playing his ass off. I can't even lie. But if you guys don't know, I'm Big Temp. This is the Cave Cast. We want to welcome everybody. I'd like to say thank you to everybody that has tuned in before. It's gonna be a good week. We have a Thursday night game tomorrow evening, and it looks to be a pretty good one. We won't go into that one just quite yet. And there's a couple of things going on in this league, but we're going to start off with some scores and some recaps from week 4 in the NFL. And, of course, we're going to start off with our fan favorite, the Kansas City Chiefs. And they wound up playing a division rival in the Chargers. This was a very, how should I say, gritted out game for the Chiefs. The Chiefs wound up pulling a win out 17-10. Patrick Mahomes went 19 for 29 in this game and 245 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. One of the things that I've been noticing, and I don't know what's going on with Mahomes, but he's been having a couple of issues connecting with, you know, certain receivers. One of them being Travis Kelce. This past game, though, he was pretty much looking for Kelce. I think so much so to a point where he overthrew him on one where he wound up throwing the interception. And I think he's trying to get in his rhythm, especially with Kelce. I don't know if they had a lot of time together during the off season. Maybe that's something that's going on. Maybe he's not getting enough sleep, you know, because now he's got 2 kids at home and a third on the way. But what I'm saying is that he's been having some issues and not looking quite Mahomesy like, just a little bit. But he's still doing just what he needs to do to pull these games out. And I can't do anything but attribute that to basically the locker room itself, the team. They know how to win games, right? So Travis Kelce, speaking of him, 7 receptions for 89 yards, and Xavier Worthy, the rookie, 3 receptions, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Really, really came through in a clutch touchdown for us. The connection was fantastic. His ball tracking skills are wonderful. I can't even knock him. And in his debut and return to the Kansas City Chiefs, Kareem Hunt, my guy. I've been waiting for this guy to come back. I was so geeked when he was on the field this game. Kareem had 14 carries for 69 yards and another 2 catches for 17 yards. Kareem looked incredible for a guy that hadn't been with the team, a guy who was cut, can you believe this, by the Browns. And a guy who had a surgery in the offseason, right? So, I mean, he looked good. He looked really good. And I was really, really happy because I am a Kareem Hunt guy, right? And so that makes me feel better about that running back room, especially with Pacheco being out. Carson still had a hard time in this game against the Chargers. And I don't want him, and I'm glad that the Chiefs did. They went back to him after he did have a fumble in this game again. But I'm glad that they went back to him, and they tried to get him some more touches. But I wonder, if he's starting to think a little bit too much. That does happen, especially as a rookie. So, Chris Jones was phenomenal in this game. I know I've been talking about the offense, but I want to give a shout out to Chris Jones in this game. 2 sacks, 3 tackles, and the wonderful thing about having a Chris Jones, and is that when we have a guy like that who can wreck your offensive line or wreck your offensive game plan just because of how dominant he is on that defensive line, man, it does so much more, than people really realize as far as, his ability to move from end to end, to go back into the middle, to stop the run. I mean, this guy, he's got to be up somewhere in the top 2 for Defensive Player of the Year this year. That's what I'm thinking he's gunning for. I'm thinking he's gunning for Defensive Player of the Year this year. So, for the Chargers in a losing effort, Justin Herbert, 16 for 27, 179 yards, 1 touchdown. And Ladd McConkey, the rookie. This kid came out of Georgia, and my co-host, Big Mike was raving about this kid. He really likes this kid. He wanted us to get him, right? But, as things go, we didn't. But Ladd McConkey had 5 receptions, 69 or 67 yards for 1 touchdown. That touchdown catch was an amazing catch. Great body control at the back of the end zone. So, but one of the things I noticed in this game is, the Chargers came into this game with a really good running attack, and they didn't do much of nothing. The Chiefs just completely destroyed that running game. They had a total of 55 rushing yards in this game, and J.K. Dobbins I think he had 33 yards rushing. They shut them down. Very good defensive, awareness. They just made the adjustments when they needed to, and they made sure that they took away the things that Chargers wanted to do, right? So that to me was one of the things that I took away from this game, is that the Chiefs defense is doing everything it needs to do to keep themselves, or keep the Chiefs in these games, especially if the offense isn't clicking right off the bat, right? So that, to me, I had no problems with it. I loved it. I'm glad that we got to 4-0, and that just gives us another chance to get better next week, right? Another game that came up that I watched and I thought was really good. This was on the Monday night. They had a doubleheader on that night. It's probably the only game that I really wanted to see because that Titans-Dolphins game was trash. Seahawks, 29. Lions, 42. And I'm going to be honest with you. The Seahawks I thought were going to win this game, right? But they had a bunch of injuries, and it didn't pan out very well for them. And they did give it a real good run in this game. Geno Smith with 38 for 56, 395 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Walker, all I can say is this kid is a running back. When he came out of Michigan State, he made some noise while he was at Michigan State, right? But he had 12 carries for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. And one of the things about him is that he's a hard runner. He's got just enough speed to get outside the edges and the corners, and he makes things happen. I really, really like K-Dot. Really like him. DK Metcalf, he had 7 receptions for 104 yards. He was getting mugged all night. And I will say, they had a 2-point conversion. I don't understand how nobody threw a flag on this conversion I know it was pass interference. How nobody threw a flag out there to review this play. He was in. That was a 2-point conversion that should have counted, and apparently they dropped the ball upstairs. So maybe I missed something. Maybe they couldn't challenge anything anymore. I don't know, but I know that his leg was in. So that kind of hurt them. The Lions, however, were hitting on all cylinders, and I mean they hit on all cylinders at home. They were phenomenal in this game. Jared Goff was 18 for 18 in this game. He did not miss a pass, not one. 18 for 18, 292 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Fantastic fucking game. Fantastic game from him, right? Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another good night by him. And they got a double-headed fucking monster back then between him and Montgomery. But Gibbs is, ever since he came out of Alabama, I've been saying that this guy was so underrated coming out of Alabama. He is a monster, right? Jamison Williams, 2 receptions, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. And like I said, the Lions look good. I mean, hell, Amon-Ra threw a touchdown in this game to Jared Goff, who was running, but it looked like he was walking. It looked like I can't believe he even caught it. I can't believe nobody caught him to keep him from getting in the end zone. So, but the Lions were on that night. There was nothing anybody could do to keep these guys out of the end zone. They were just doing whatever they wanted, right? So the Lions looked really good in this game, and maybe they're starting to hit their, figure things out on the offensive side. Jared Goff did at least. Yeah. Wow, I mean, he picked apart the Seahawks. The Titans won 31-12 against the Dolphins, and let me just say this: Tyreek Hill has got to be going fucking nuts, especially since they don't have a quarterback. His last 2 games alone, man. Yeah, I think he only had like 19 yards receiving in this game. And here's my problem with the whole situation down there. Tua has been known to be injury prone. Why they never went and tried to get a really good backup to Tua, I'll never know. Why they haven't tried to make a trade to somebody to pick up maybe Bryce Young. I know he's maybe not, what everybody's thinking, but I mean, he's still a young QB that maybe you can work him into this situation and make something out of it. But golly, the Dolphins are looking bad. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, that was horrible. They just do not look good right now, especially on the offensive side. They do not look good at all. One of the unbeatens from this week, the Buffalo Bills, took on the Ravens and got smacked. I mean smacked. The Ravens beat the Buffalo Bills 35-10. Josh Allen went 16 for 29 for 180 yards. They didn't do much of nothing. The Ravens just destroyed these guys. They took everything away from them. Everything, right? So Lamar Jackson looked fantastic. 13 for 18, 135.5 rating for the evening, 156 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry was an absolute monster. 24 carries, 199 yards, and 1 touchdown. 1 big touchdown, 1 big play. First play for Ravens on the offense, went for 87 yards from the jump. When that happened, I knew it was going to be a long motherfucking night for the Bills. Long. Justice Hill, running back, was the leading receiver. 6 receptions for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. And Lamar Jackson, besides what he did passing, had 6 carries for 54 yards. So they couldn't do anything against this Ravens team. The Bills looked out of place. And to top it all off, I just, sometimes you wonder about certain things and if guys should just kind of, give it up. And they just had a guy get popped for steroids or substance, an illegal substance, right? Von Miller got a 4-game suspension. That's from what I'm hearing right now. Von Miller has just gotten a 4-game suspension for illegal substance. That's allegedly, right? It just don't make no sense. If you're gonna get, I get it, and he was playing good up to late, but at some point, sometimes it's best to just not do certain things so you don't hurt the team in other ways, and this is one of those ways, right? So, yeah, this is not good. This is not good for them on the defensive side, and I get it. He is an older player, but at the same time, you don't want to have these kind of problems, especially when, you're trying to stay competitive in that division, and I get it. You don't really have a lot of, people that are especially teams that, you really have to worry about, you think, especially with the Dolphins being, lackluster and the Patriots being lackluster. The Jets, we really don't know what's going to really happen with them. It's just kind of up in the air. But you don't do this. You don't do this, right? Next game on the list, Commanders came out and showed they ass in Arizona. Commanders beat the Cardinals 42-14. And there's a certain guy I was just talking about at the beginning of this program, Jayden Daniels, who could possibly be the runaway rookie of the year this year. God willing that nothing happens to him, he doesn't get hurt or anything like that. Jayden Daniels is showing his ass. Jayden Daniels went 26 for 30, 233 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Brian Robinson had 21 carries for 101 yards and 1 touchdown. And I want to say Jeremy McNichols, 8 carries for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jayden Daniels also had 8 carries for 47 yards and another touchdown. That offense right now is clicking on all cylinders, and it's early in the season. And I know that they kind of simplified some things and brought a lot of packages from his college days in to, change some stuff up and make it easier for him to adjust on the fly. Hey, whatever they did, it's working. It's working. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray, 16 for 22, 142 yards, 1 touchdown. And John Connors, 18 carries, 104 yards, and 1 touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. had 5 receptions in this game for 45 yards and a touchdown. So he is continuing to be productive for them. I did not know how well the Commanders were going to travel after they had just had that big game against the Bengals. But they did. They did well. They played well. They were on point. Everything was going correctly for them. So next game was the Patriots versus the 49ers, and I pretty much figured this was going to be a beatdown. The 49ers had a bad game last week that they wound up losing, and I think they just kind of came out and said, we're not losing this game. Brock Purdy had 288 yards in this game with a touchdown and an interception. Now, we're going to get into this because I know Mike is going to be talking about this team all season because he does not like 2 teams in the NFL. One of them just happens to be the Eagles. And if you guys have paid any attention to us throughout any of the live streams since we've been doing this, one of the things that we did say early on in one of the live streams, probably about 4 weeks ago, we did say there are going to be a couple of teams that had coaches that if they didn't do very well, Their coaches will be on the hot seat. One of those teams that we said was Shanahan from the 49ers. The other one was Nick Sirianni from the Eagles. Well, I've been saying this. If anybody hasn't noticed, there's been a kind of button of the heads between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, especially on the sidelines. I don't know if anybody else kind of noticed it, but I did. I noticed it. And I'm just going to say this, right? It does not look good. It does not look good. There are some things that need to change. Ooh, boy. All I can say is the Eagles lost this game to the Bucs. The Bucs have looked good. The Bucs have looked good. Eagles lose this game 16-33. Jalen Hurts went 18 for 30, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. And Saquon Barkley had 10 carries for 84 yards. Now, A.J. Brown being hurt and skinny Batman Devontae, him being out for this game, and that did not help their cause. That's number one. But their offensive line just does not look the same. And I know Kelsey's not there. I know that has a lot to do with it, that leadership, that experience. But, man, they don't look good right now. So, they didn't look good in this game. Hurts is banging heads with Nick Sirianni. It looks like a little bit, don't know, a little bit trouble in paradise maybe, who knows. The Bucs, however, looked fantastic. Baker Mayfield he's playing his ass off right now. Baker went 30 for 47 for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. And Mike Evans had 8 receptions for 94 yards and a touchdown. The Bucs are playing very well as they've played early in the season since Brady left. I didn't know how things were going to go this year with the Bucs, but I do know some Buc fans, and they are happy with what's happening, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Next game on the list was the Rams versus the Bears, and hey, I'll be honest with you. The Rams are going through some troubles, especially because of injuries. Matthew Stafford is going to have a hard time early on in the season for the foreseeable future, at least. Stafford went 20 for 29 for 224 yards, 1 interception. Kyron Williams, 19 carries, 94 yards, 1 touchdown, and Tutu Atwell had 4 receptions for 82 yards. The Bears, who are not that great, and they are young, so they're coming along. We'll see what happens with them. But Caleb Williams, he played well enough to win this game, that's for sure. 17 for 23, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, and a lot of people didn't know if they were going to start DeAndre Swift as far as fantasy league. A lot of people said to sitting, right? And he had a game. 16 carries for 93 yards and also 7 receptions for 72 yards. So, you said to sitting, or you thought that you were doing the right thing by sitting him, well, he had turned around and had a hell of a game, right? The Bears, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be in the mix for, what's going on in the NFC North. I think there's just still some time away. They're a little bit of, ways away to still be at the top of that division. But they are playing, right now to get better every game. That's what they're doing. And they're a young team. So I'm waiting to see what happens with them by the end of the year. Steelers, another unbeaten, winds up losing. Steelers lose to the Colts, 24-27. Justin Fields went 22 for 34. Had 312 yards and a touchdown, and George Pickens had 2 receptions for 113 yards, but also had a very, very disastrous fumble that gave the Colts the ball back, and I know he's sick. I know he was sick from that. The Colts, look, I don't know how many times does this dude, he's got 9 lives, he's got to. So Anthony Richards goes out with a hip injury. And Joe Flacco comes in, does what he did the year before with the Browns, and wins a game. And not just wins a game, but like commands this game, right? Flacco went 16 for 26 for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Jonathan Taylor had 21 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. Look, I don't know how many times Joe Flacco has to say to everybody or prove it that, hey, I am still a good quarterback. But apparently, he has to keep doing it. And for this man to come in and do what he's doing and still winning, last year, hell, he got the damn Browns to the playoffs. So I'm just saying, it's amazing that this guy is still doing it and nobody's giving him any kind of credit. Another undefeated, the Vikes took on the Packers, and the Vikes are still undefeated. Sam Darnold, this dude, hey, look, I can't even say nothing because he's balling. The Vikes win 31-29. This game was pretty much, I thought it was going to be a blowout, and then here come the Packers just storming back, right? They had to wind up winning this game, but it was close. But, man, Sam Darnold went 20 for 28, 225 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Aaron Jones, 22 carries for 93 yards, and Justin Jefferson had 6 receptions for 85 yards and 1 touchdown. The Vikings are doing exactly what they need to do. They are trying to win games by using the weapons that they have, putting the weapons that they have or the players that they have in positions to score. They're doing just that. The Packers, look, Jordan Love, I didn't think he would be back for this game, but apparently he was. And he went 32 for 54 for 389 yards. He did have 4 touchdowns, but he also had 3 interceptions in this game. So I don't know if maybe he kind of got off on the wrong foot, if maybe he shouldn't have been starting this game, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell you. But I will say that they did make a game of it. And Jayden Reed, this guy, man, I like him. I do like him. Jayden Reed, 7 receptions, 139 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think he's probably the best receiver on that team. And they got a couple of guys on that team, as far as the receiving corps goes, that are very good. Dontavian Wicks, he also had 3 receptions for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, as it stands, I think the Vikings, it's early on in the season, but they are doing exactly what they need to do to win these games. They look good. I can't even knock them. They do look good. Broncos played the Jets. Snorefest. Absolutely snorefest. And I know I don't want to hear nobody telling me about how, there was weather and, the ball was slippery. And it was a snorefest. That game sucked. If you like defensive games, yes, I get it. I do like defensive games, but come on. I think Bo Nix had 60-something yards passing in this game. I don't get it. Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest QBs in this league ever. You couldn't beat a QB who only passed for 60-plus fucking yards. Really? That's sad. It was bad. I don't know what they were doing. I was bored out of my fucking mind. They sucked. Another game, Texans versus the Jags. Texans wound up winning this game 24-20. The Jags look like shit. I'm sorry. They do. They look like shit. Doug Peterson could be added to that hot seat talk. Because right now, they can't do nothing as far as, look, Trevor Lawrence, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know why he's continuing to have the issues that he's had, but he is not playing well at all. 18 for 33, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I get it. It looks great, or it looks okay on paper. Some of them passes he made, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I really don't. I don't know who he was passing to. I don't know why he was taking sacks sometimes. Yeah. His decision making right now looks horrible. Brian Thomas, 6 receptions, the rookie Brian Thomas, for 86 yards and a touchdown. And then the Texans, C.J. Stroud was 27 for 40, 345 yards, 2 touchdowns, and most of his, his favorite target was Nico Collins, who had 12 receptions for 141 yards and 1 touchdown, or 151 yards, and a touchdown. They kind of struggled in this game a little bit with the Jags defense, and I won't say that CJ's having a slump. I'm going to say that teams they got more tape on him now. Last year he kind of snuck up on people a little bit. He was still young too, but they got more tape on him now. So people are looking for certain nuances of his, and they're making it known that, hey, look, we're gonna try to make you play to your weaknesses. The Saints played the Falcons, and let's see. So the Bucks are 3-1. The Saints are 2-2, and the Falcons are now 2-2. I'm kind of like up in the air on who I want to say is going to win this division. I think it's the Bucks, but you never know in this league what can happen. But right now, because the Saints came out like gangbusters the first 2 games. Trust me, I know. They played some pretty bad teams, right? The first 2 games. And yes, I did put the Cowboys in there as a bad team. I'm sorry. But right now, they lost this game to the Falcons 26-24. And the main reason they lost is because they let a kicker go 4 for 4 on field goals, right? He scored 14 points by his damn self in this game. 14 points. Out of the 26 points that the team scored. And the thing about it is that the numbers would not dictate, especially rushing yard numbers, that the Falcons would have won this game. They didn't rush for very many yards in this game at all. So I'm kind of like wondering what the fuck is going on. Now, I know that the Saints had a couple players out, but damn, they did not look good late in this game. That's for sure. I think the Saints, I don't know. It just kind of looks like Carr is doing what he does most of the time, right? He's scrambling out of the pocket, trying to get some time to throw. And sometimes he just makes mistakes in the game, right? It's going to happen. That's what any QB. But he's known to have done it for years, especially with the Raiders. Now that he's a Saint, I don't know if he's pressing a little too much. It's hard to say. There was a bright spot for the Saints when Taysom Hill was able to get 2 rushing touchdowns in this game. And it's good to see him back, right? Another game, Bengals played the Panthers. The Bengals wound up winning this game 34-24. They finally got off of a 0 win. They are now in the W column. They have a win. And thank God for that, because I was going to let hell just go and give them so much shit if they lost this game to the Panthers. I really was. All I can tell you is Burrow has not been the problem to me, right? They've had issues on the defensive side. I think that's the biggest issue for them. Burrow went 22 for 31 for 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception in the game. Chase Brown carried 15 times for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Jamar Chase had 3 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. The Panthers have actually put up some numbers ever since Andy Dalton has become the starter. And Andy Dalton went 25 for 40 for 220 yards, 1 interception. Chuba Hubbard had 18 carries for 104 yards and 1 touchdown. And Deontay Johnson, 7 receptions, 83 yards and 1 touchdown. I don't know what's really going to happen with the Panthers as the season goes on. I don't know if they're going to continue this Andy Dalton thing or if they're going to try to get Bryce back in the fold and try to give him some time back there. But right now, they're competing. And that's all you can ask for from your team, right? They are competing. So, last game on the list from last week, week 4, the Cowboys versus the Giants. Cowboys barely pulled this off, 20-15. The Giants only scored on field goals, basically. That's all I can say. The Cowboys, I was expecting a lot more from them this season. They have not lived up to my thoughts of what they could be this year. Not at all. Prescott went 22 for 27, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb had 7 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown. And Daniel Jones went 29 for 40. He had 181 yards in this game, 1 interception, no touchdowns. Mind you, like I said, the Giants did not score 1 single touchdown in this game. Malik Neighbors, the bright spot for the Giants, had 12 receptions for 115 yards. I don't know what else you can do for this team besides getting another QB for the Giants. Daniel Jones has not been the answer, okay? He's not been the answer. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking about by not trying to go after somebody in the offseason. I mean, I know they gave him some money, this and that, but man, I don't know what made you do this. What has he shown you? What has he shown you? Nothing. But I'm not a GM. I don't get to make those calls. I'm just a guy who watches football as a fan. And I can tell you right now, just from my own eyes, he's not going to be the guy to do it for. He's not. Right? So, that's, in a nutshell, week 4. And we have what we like to do is a power ranking system. And I know everybody's got one. We're no different than anybody else. Just kind of, blah, blah, blah. But it's something that we like to do because last week we had everybody as far as the power rankings go, right? And I had my thoughts on the power rankings and who I thought was in the top 5 in the power rankings, and my co-host, Mike, he had who he thought, out of the undefeateds. And last week we had the Chiefs at number 1, or I did anyway, excuse me, I'm not going to speak for Mike. But I had the Chiefs at number 1, the Steelers at 2, the Seahawks at 3, the Vikes at 4, and the Bills at 5, right? That was my power ranking last week. Well, that's all changed now. A lot of it. So at number 5, a lot of people are probably not going to agree with this, but I'm going to be honest with you. This is just for this week. People I thought that made a big step in the right direction. And at number 5, I have the Lions. A lot of people may have them higher, but the Lions, look, they look so good on Monday night. The offense was humming. The offense was really humming on that Monday night game against the Seahawks. And I think that kind of showed me, okay, they're back. It took them a couple of games to keep going, but it looks like the offense is back, right? Their little play action that they like to run. I mean, Jared Goff's fantastic at it, right? And some people told me, that's too low, this is that, but that's just me. I think that they're at number 5. At number 4, I have the Bucks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucks have done well, a lot better than I thought they would start off this season. And they've done it where, Baker Mayfield, he looks like a legitimate all-pro quarterback in this league right now. At number 3, I know it may be just I like this kid, and so the way he's playing right now, maybe that's why I have him where he's at. And I have the Commanders. I have them at number 3. Jayden Daniels is fantastic. I like watching this kid play. And so with that being said, he has actually elevated the play of other players on this team. I mean, when's the last time you've seen the Commanders walking around with a little swag? They got swag right now. Them boys are playing. Number 2, I have the Vikings. The Vikings are doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and they're doing it with a quarterback who has been, for the entire time he's been in the league pretty much, kind of substandard. He hasn't been what they thought he would be when they drafted him, and Sam Darnold. So, but he's playing his ass off right now. I like what he's doing. He's done exactly what they asked him to do. Number 1, I do have the Chiefs. Yes, I'm biased. I know, I'm biased. What can I say? It's my show. I'm going to be biased a little bit. Not all the way biased, but some bias. This is how I look at it. This is my team, and I think that them doing what they did and being able to come out, losing Rashee Rice, which is a topic we have not got to, in this game, their number 1 receiver, and still being able to pull out a win, that says something. Scoring 17 straight unanswered points after being down 10-0 says something, okay? They did exactly what they needed to do. I enjoyed the fact that they were able to persevere to get this win. And they are now 4-0, right? So we went from having 5 undefeated teams in the league to now only 2. How many will we have this week? Anybody? If you are in the chat, let me know. Will there be any undefeated teams by the end of this week? If there is, leave the team you think that'll be undefeated. Either the Vikings or the Chiefs or none, or say you don't care. Maybe you don't care. So for NFL Week 5, we are looking at another litany of games. And we're going to start off with tomorrow night's game, the Thursday night game on Prime. And if you don't have Prime, I'm just going to tell you, there's been some pretty decent games on Prime. And I think that tomorrow might be a pretty good one. It's going to be a division game between the Bucks and the Falcons. And the Falcons are at home. And I can tell you right now, I think the Bucks are going to win. I think the Bucks are going to win this game. I think Baker Mayfield, for some reason, I think Baker's got something to prove this season. I really do. I think he's got something to prove. Now, don't get me wrong. The Falcons, I think, are going to play hard, but I think that the Falcons are going to wind up losing this game just because they don't score enough points for me. They don't score enough points. Next on the list, it's going to be an over the pond game. I think it's in London. It's the Jets versus the Vikes. Hey, if you think the Vikings are going to stay undefeated, you might want to say it in the chat. Just put it in the chat, in the comments. I don't care, right? I think the Vikings are going to win this game. The Jets, I don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. One game he looked great. Next game he looked like shit. And that Vikings defense looks good. They look real good. Sam Darnold playing well. Anything can happen though with travel and stuff like that, being off, you're not at home, nothing's normal, everything can change, right? But I do have the Vikings winning this game. That's an early game too, 8:30 a.m. I think it's Eastern time. Next game is Fins versus Pats. Nobody cares. Unless you're a Fins or a Pats fan, right? Nobody cares. Because, first of all, the Dolphins don't have a quarterback. And the Patriots, they got a long way to go too. I think the Patriots win this game, but not by much. I really do, but nobody cares. If I was a betting man, I'd take the Patriots to win this game. They're playing at home, so. Panthers versus Bears. The Bears are at home for this game, and my partner, he gonna be mad. Tez, I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you right now, Tez. If Andy Dalton is playing in this game, I'm gonna pick the Panthers to beat the Bears. He's gonna be pissed. So, I'm picking the Panthers to beat the Bears. I'm gonna say the Panthers win this game 24-17. 24-17. Next on the list is the Browns versus the Commanders. Hey, Commanders are back at home. They've been on the road for 2 games. I'm picking the Commanders. The Browns look like shit. Hey, newsflash. To anybody that's a Browns fan, I don't know how many of those are in the chat. I really don't. I can just tell you this. Deshaun Watson is not doing it. And the Chiefs are in need of a fucking wide receiver right now because we don't know what the hell's going on with Rashee Rice, right? So, if you are willing to come off of a wide receiver, we'd have no problem with taking Amari Cooper off the hands. We'll give him back to you if you want at the end of the season. But Deshaun's not using him. He's bad. We'll, do something, for you guys, a little something nice, maybe send some money to your favorite charity or something, whatever. But, yeah, y'all are bad. Bad. And what a difference a year makes, because while Flacco was there, these guys were playing their ass off. So, Commanders win that game. Browns are, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with them by the end of the season. They just suck. Colts versus Jags. I'm going to pick the Colts. The prince that was promised has failed at any promise. I can tell you that right now. He sucks ass. Right now, he's not playing well. And I get it that they are at home, but I'm going to pick Joe Flacco to win this game. I really am. Bills versus Texans. Ooh-wee. Buffalo needs to win. They need to win. But they're playing in Houston. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Houston's losing this game. I really don't. I think this is the start of the Bills to go on a little losing streak for a little bit. Yeah. Not good. Not good. I think the Texans wind up winning this game 28-14. 28-14. Next on the list is the Ravens versus the Bengals. Now this is a division game. And this is to see if the Ravens can still keep that second position right now, right behind the Steelers, right? Or maybe even tied up with them. I'm going to say the Ravens win this game. The Bengals, I know that they're trying to get off that, that bad start that they had, right? But I think the Ravens win this game. Number one, because of the run game. The Ravens have a phenomenal run game, and the Bengals can't fucking stop anybody in the run department. They are going to have a hard time against them. They're going to. And then the added dimension of Lamar, and then the added dimension that, Justice Hill. I mean, they're not going to have an easy night with this team at all. Raiders versus Broncos. Yes, I know it's the AFC West. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Raiders are going to lose this game. The Broncos are at home. The Broncos defense played a little bit better against the Jets, a lot better. And Bo Nix, look, I don't know if he's the quarterback that everybody is saying that he was going to be when he came out. Peyton hollered about how much he reminds him of Patrick Mahomes, all this shit, right? I'll just say that I think that the Broncos being at home gives them the edge. Simple as that. Cards versus 49ers. Cardinals are going to lose. Cardinals are going to lose. Cardinals are going to lose. 49ers are going to win this game. I don't think that the Cardinals are ready yet. And they're playing in San Fran, in the Bay. So, Giants versus Seahawks. Seahawks will win. Giants can't score touchdowns. At least they couldn't against the Cowboys. So, I'm going to pick the Seahawks. Packers versus Rams. Rams are still suffering from injuries. Jordan Love, even though he did throw 3 interceptions, he still threw for 4 touchdowns and almost 400 yards in that game last week. I'm going to pick the Packers. I think the Packers are going to dominate this game against the Rams. Cowboys versus Steelers. Ooh-wee, Sunday night football. Hey, Cowboys. I'm going to let you know one thing from the jump. If you guys had a hard time against teams such as the Giants, they're scoring 20 points, and such as, I don't know, the Ravens. All I can tell you is, to me, I think you're going to have a hell of a time against the number 1 defense in the league. The Steelers are going to come in there and they're going to make sure that Dak feels every hit that they could possibly put on him. Every hit. I am not picking the Cowboys to win this game because they are playing in Pittsburgh too. And this is about the time of the season where it starts getting a little rainy out there in that area, in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Might be, a little slippery when people try to grab, that pigskin. Fumbles do happen, especially when there's hard hits. Yeah, I'm not picking the Cowboys in this game. The Cowboys have not shown me anything this season so far. Even though early in the season, before the season ever started, I did think the Cowboys had a good chance to get to the playoffs and maybe even possibly a Super Bowl. No, not anymore. No. They have been so underwhelming. So the Steelers, I think, I did say the Steelers, beginning of the season, I did say they got something to say. They got something to prove. And I think quietly as kept, they are a good, very good football team, and they made the right moves this offseason. I think the Steelers wind up winning this game 20-10. I don't think that the Cowboys are going to score very many points in this game, right? Saints versus Chiefs, Monday Night Football in Arrowhead. And I'm picking the Chiefs. Is that a surprise to anybody? Willie Gay was out last game for the Saints. I don't know if he'll be out this game, coming back to play in Arrowhead. I'm imagining he'll probably be available to play. We'll see. We do know that Rashee Rice will not be probably playing in this game. And one of the things I have been kind of worried about is the diagnosis as far as Rashee Rice and his knee. if you guys didn't catch it or you're just now hearing about it, Rashee Rice was injured in the game against the Chargers when there was a scrum for a fumble after a Patrick Mahomes interception. And it was actually Patrick who wound up trying to throw his body into another Charger player and, just so happened to be a freak mistake or freak accident and ran into the knee of Rashee Rice. One of the things that has been said is that Rashee, has had a couple of MRIs and there was some inconclusive diagnosis, right? And that can happen, especially with swelling and stuff like that. One of the things that I will say is that it could be a good thing that they don't know anything yet. It could be a bad thing, right? And I've had a hyperextension, and somebody very close to me has had knee surgery where he tore some ligaments in his knee. And the thing about it is this: sometimes, it's not very simple where they, maybe the injury when it happened or how it happened caused a bunch of swelling and a bunch of blood or fluid to actually be in the area where the image doesn't give you enough of what you need to know to get a good diagnosis. And right now, I think that's what's happening. One of the things I will say is this: I'm happy that he is seeking a second opinion, right? I'm happy about that. One of the things I will say, though, as far as seeking a second opinion, is that I'm kind of worried that maybe there's more damage to other ligaments instead of an ACL, that there's possibly a PCL injury. And that could be, it could be slightly irritated. It could be a slight tear. It could be a full tear. You never know. So, and maybe because of the swelling is the reason why they can't get a good view of it. We don't know. I will say that I am hoping and praying like hell that Rashee is not injured as bad as everybody first thought of me. And I would hope that he gets a little bit more time to rest, find out what the problem is, get the correct diagnosis, and then we can kind of move on from there. Either he's going to be able to play maybe a couple games later in the season, take some time, get better, or he's out for the season. In any case, no matter what, I want us to be able to try to find out, okay, what we need to do as far as the Chiefs' offense. Do we need to go get another wide receiver? Do we need to bring a guy up from the practice squad? Do we need to go out and make a trade? Whatever it is we need to do, we're going to have to try to figure it out as soon as possible. As T.I. say, expeditiously. I have a hard time with that word, but I figured I'd try it. Expeditiously, right? So, one of the things that kind of irritated me with this is that we have guys on the team that you would think would be able to step up in situations like this. And one of them is Sky Moore. And Sky Moore look, I'm just going to say this. My son is a Sky Moore fan. He liked him when he was coming out. And I don't blame him because he put up some great numbers in college, right? The problem is that Sky Moore has been underwhelming as hell. Underwhelming, just bad as far as being able to come in and still be productive. I have high hopes for him that he can turn it around, and that's different when I have the high hopes, but he's got to be able to put that energy as far as his work and everything else that he's doing and put it out there and believe in himself, because he is making mistakes that he should not be making in his third, fourth year in the league, right? Should not. He should be doing better. He's been in the league 3 seasons now, or going into, third season. He should be able to catch a slant. He should be able to catch an out route. And if the ball hits you in the hands, you gotta catch it. I know people say you don't know how hard it is to catch those kind of passes, when you got a defender draped all over. I know that. I don't play wide receiver, right? But I do know they pay you lots of money to be able to do that. And if you got drafted in the second round, they're kind of expecting you to be able to do that, right? So, all I can say is that, to me, I hope we make some things happen. And if we have to bring in like Remigio, if we have to bring in Justin Ross, Cornell Powell that we had, on the team practice squad, something's got to happen. And as a Chiefs fan, I want to be able to have a competent wide receiver. I mean, we still have Watson on the team. We still have Sky Moore. We still have, it's getting slim. Man, so we're down to a couple of receivers where it's gonna be tight. Oh, Miko Harbin still, yeah, it's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. We may have to get a guy as a trade. Now, will the Chiefs do that? I don't know. I really don't. It's hard to say because you can't ever figure out what Brett Veach is going to do, right? But I would think that he would try to make a play to pick up a veteran wide receiver and bring him in. Just my thoughts. Other things that I wanted to talk about, and it kind of stems from going back to watching games this past weekend. And I don't know if anybody else has kind of seen what's going on, but the offensive line for every team, a lot of false starts, a lot of flags on the offensive line. I watched the replay of the Houston Texans versus the Jags, and Laramie Tunsil has 12 flags in 4 games. 12 flags, right? And those 12 flags that he has, look, I get it, but you got to get that shit cleaned up. Same thing for Juwan Taylor for the Chiefs. You're killing drives when you do these type of things. And I know that they're on the watch for it now. They're looking at it a lot closely, more closer than they have in seasons past, which, I mean, last year, if anybody didn't notice, they were all over the offensive line. Ask Juwan Taylor. That dude had like 17 straight penalties, just flag after flag after flag after flag for the same thing, right? And I know they're watching it a lot closer, but it's not just a couple of teams now. It's every team. Every team. They're looking at everybody. There's a lot of false starts in this league right now. And so I hope that they kind of get this together, because it's kind of killing the flow of the game. And that's one thing I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be where we got fucking laundry all over the damn field every fucking game, instead of letting these guys play. The other thing, can we please stop with the Chiefs slander? Please. Please. I'm so tired of hearing it. Everywhere I look, there's somebody talking about, the Zebras will make sure that the Chiefs win. I just want to know why. Why are the refs so in favor of the Chiefs winning? Why? I'm sure the other owners, when they go have their meetings and meet up with it, they're not in favor of this. They're the ones that run the league. They're not in favor of this. They don't want to see this shit happening. It's amazing to me that there's always a conspiracy theory when some teams win. It's always a conspiracy, right? They did it for the Patriots. And Teddy Bruschi said, this comes with the territory. This comes with the territory. When you're winning, everybody's got something to say. Everybody. All the fans want to tell you about how you're cheating or the refs are cheating for you. Look, and I know everybody say, well, you can't go by that because the Patriots were cheating all the time. Yeah, okay. They got none of those championships vacated. So apparently the NFL didn't believe that, right? So I just want to say I'd like to not hear those type of things. And I know I can't control that. But I will say this. Can we come up with something a little bit more creative? It's easy to say the Chiefs, the refs are cheating for the Chiefs, or the refs are going to make sure that the Chiefs are going to win, or, it's the old throwback, right? For once, when we were winning, before we started winning championships and Patrick was new to the league and he was out here slinging the ball around, you know what they were saying? Man, that dude is good. He's unbelievable. I like watching this team play, right? Great offense. Now all I hear is they're just trying to make sure that the Chiefs win. They're going to try to make sure they get into a three-peat. I don't think that's what's happening. And if you think that's what's happening, okay. I don't know why you would think that. I don't know what the NFL has to gain from that. Maybe it's great TV. Okay. But still, I don't think the Chiefs are going to go undefeated. I think they lose 3 or 4 games this season. Possibly 5. You never know. But they still have to win their division just to get to the playoffs. Or become a wild card. And none of that is promised. None of it. So, with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody who came and joined our live stream tonight on TikTok and YouTube. And welcome you guys, if you haven't been here before, and say, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button or hit the follow button on TikTok. And on top of that, if you can, come back next week. We do this every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We are located in the Midwest. So we like to thank everybody who has shown us some love, who's liked our videos, gave comments. And if you have a question about a team, or if it's your team, if you have a question about anything that I said tonight, leave it in the comments. We'd be glad to sit down and look at these comments and leave a comment back for you, or even make a show around some of the comments that you left, right? Want to thank everybody for showing up. I had a good time doing this. Unfortunately, my co-host was not able to show up tonight. Like I said, he'll be back next week, hopefully. And if you are, and you want to see what's going on next week, come and join us next week. We'd love to have you. For everybody here at the cave, myself, Big Mike, thank you, and we hope you're back next week. Y'all take it easy.